true. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I have been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. But you must understand the nature of this place first, for the place itself is crucial to all that follows. My cabin stands on the edge of a fjord in Nordland, Norway, in a village so remote it appears on no maps. 30 souls live here, perhaps fewer now. The village clings to the rocky shore like something desperate. Here, the sun abandons us for 3 months each winter. From November through January, we live in perpetual darkness, broken only by a few hours of grey twilight at midday. The Norwegians call it mørketiden, the dark time. It does things to people, this darkness, makes them see things that aren't there, or perhaps makes them see things that are always there, but that daylight mercifully obscures. The village has a saying, whispered in the small shop where old Anderson sells tobacco and coffee, muttered in the church where Father Larsen keeps his eternal vigil. Jorden husker, Jorden samler. The earth remembers, the earth collects. I thought it merely folklore when I first heard it. The superstition of isolated people seeking meaning in an indifferent landscape, trying to explain why so many who come here never leave, or leave changed, hollowed out, their eyes carrying knowledge no sane person should possess. I was wrong. I came here 5 years ago from Bergen, fleeing not justice but its absence. I had designed a bridge, a beautiful bridge, elegant in its simplicity, a triumph of engineering that would connect 2 sides of the fjord and cut an hour from the commute for thousands of people. It was to be my masterwork, the project that would establish my reputation, secure my future. The bridge collapsed on a Tuesday morning in October. 37 people died. 37 cars dropped into the cold fjord water when the roadway gave way, when steel and concrete betrayed the trust placed in them, when my calculations, my assurances that the design was sound, that the materials were adequate, that the safety margins were sufficient, proved catastrophically wrong. The investigation took 9 months. Engineers examined every beam, every joint, every weld. They analysed my plans, my calculations, my specifications. They questioned contractors, inspectors, suppliers, and in the end, they concluded, design flaw, yes, but within acceptable engineering risk, act of God, unprecedented stress, no criminal negligence, no one to prosecute. I was cleared, officially exonerated, free to continue my career. But I could not remain in Bergen, could not walk streets where families of the dead looked at me with eyes that carried their own verdict, their own judgment that no official investigation could overturn. Could not attend professional gatherings where colleagues smiled to my face and whispered behind my back. Could not sleep in my apartment where every night I dreamed of cars sinking into dark water, of people trapped and drowning, of 37 voices crying out in the moment before water filled their lungs. So I came north, to this place where men come to disappear, to be forgotten, to start again, under the endless winter darkness, where the past cannot follow, because the present itself is barely visible. When I purchased the cabin, the widow Johansson looked at me with eyes the colour of winter ice. She was ancient, her face creased like old leather, her hands twisted with arthritis so severe she could barely hold the keys she was passing to me. "It is a house that remembers," she said in her thick Nordland accent. Or perhaps, she paused, seemed to reconsider her words, then continued anyway. Perhaps it is a house that collects. Collects what? I asked, trying to keep my tone light, trying not to show how her words unsettled me. Guilt, she whispered, leaning close enough that I could smell the coffee on her breath, see the fear in her pale eyes. The earth here, it is old, cursed, some say, though that is not quite the right word. It feeds on certain things, takes them, makes them real in ways they were not real before. I don't understand, I said, though part of me understood perfectly and wanted desperately not to. 3 owners before me, she continued, as if I had not spoken. All of them men with blood on their hands, though the law cleared them. An engineer whose factory burned, killing workers. A doctor whose patients died from his mistakes. A ship captain whose vessel sank. All of them cleared by investigations. All of them came here to escape. None lasted a year. What happened to them? 2 vanished, left everything behind. Clothes, money, belongings. Just gone. We found their cabins empty, as if they had simply walked out into the darkness and kept walking until the earth swallowed them. She paused, and her voice dropped even lower. The 3rd we found in the spring thaw, in the fjord. Weighted with stones he must have tied to himself. But his face, she shuddered. His face was not the face of a man who chose death. It was the face of a man fleeing from something worse. And you? I asked. You've lived here 60 years, you said. What guilt do you carry? Her expression became unreadable. I have learned to live with what the house requires, to acknowledge what I have done, to face what I have buried. But my guilt is old, worn smooth by decades of carrying it. She looked at me then with something like pity. Yours is fresh, raw, still fighting to be buried. The earth here, it will want that. We'll feed on it. We'll make it grow. She handed me the keys with hands that trembled so badly I had to steady her wrist to take them. And I saw then what I had not noticed before. Her fingernails were worn down to nothing, the tips of her fingers scarred and calloused in a way that spoke of decades of scraping against stone. If you hear sounds beneath your floor, she said as she turned to leave, do not investigate. Some doors are better left closed. Some things buried are meant to stay buried. Jorden husker, Jorden samler. The earth remembers, the earth collects, and what the earth collects, it keeps. I thought her mad, senile, a lonely old woman who had spent too many dark winters in isolation, her mind turning to gothic fantasies to explain the ordinary tragedies of remote living. I moved in on October 15th, 5 years to the day since the bridge collapsed. The scratching began on November 1st, the night the sun set for the last time until February. Scritch, 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 soft at first, barely audible over the wind that howled constantly off the fjord. Rhythmic, deliberate, coming from beneath the floorboards near my bed. I thought immediately, rats. The old houses here are full of them, seeking warmth and whatever scraps a careless occupant might leave. I made a note to purchase traps from old Anderson's shop in the morning. But the scratching continued. Night after night, always beginning around midnight, always lasting until the brief grey twilight that passed for dawn. Always the same location. The corner near my bed, where the floorboards met the wall. I set traps. Nothing. I placed poison. Nothing. I pulled up the floorboard and examined the space beneath with my lamp. Just frozen earth and foundation stones laid in neat rows. No holes, no tunnels, no sign of any living creature. Yet the scratching continued, and each night it grew louder, more insistent. By the end of November, I could feel it through the floorboards when I walked across that corner of the room. A vibration, a pressure, as if something beneath was not merely scratching, but pushing upward, testing the strength of the wood that separated us. And then the pattern changed. It was no longer random scratching. It developed rhythm, purpose. 3 quick scratches, pause. 2 slow scratches, pause. 3 quick again. Over and over, hour after hour, through the endless night. Like Morse code. Like someone trying to communicate, to spell something out. L-A-R-S, I thought. The pattern seemed to spell L-A-R-S, but that was madness. Lars Christensen had come to my cabin 3 days before the scratching began. I remembered it clearly. His knock on the door, his face when I opened it, aged and hollowed by grief, his sister having been one of the 37 who drowned when my bridge collapsed. "We need to talk about Bergen," he had said. "About the bridge, about what you did." I had tried to explain about the investigation, the findings, the official exoneration, but he would not listen. His sister had been 23 years old, he said. Recent university graduate, driving home to surprise their parents. Trapped in her car as water rose around her, drowning slowly in darkness and cold because my bridge had failed. "You killed her," he said, and there was something in his voice beyond grief, something unhinged. "Your calculations, your corners cut, your lies. You killed my sister and 36 others, and you ran here to hide." I remembered him advancing, remembered feeling threatened, remembered my hand closing on the fire poker, and then the memory fragmented. Splinters. I saw the poker rising but could not remember the decision to swing it. I saw Lars falling, but the moment between exists as a gap, a space my mind refuses to fill. I remembered blood on the floorboards. I remembered burying him beneath the cabin, 6 hours of digging frozen earth in absolute terror that someone would discover me. But, and here is what you must understand, I was not certain the memory was real. Guilt does strange things to the mind, especially guilt as profound as mine. 37 people had died because of my work. 37 families had lost loved ones because my calculations were not careful enough. Because I had signed off on materials I knew were marginal. Because I had prioritized deadline and budget over safety. Had I actually killed Lars that night? Or had my guilt created the memory, made concrete what was abstract, given me a specific crime to confess to, rather than the diffuse responsibility for the bridge? I did not know. The memory felt real, viscerally, terribly real, but it had gaps, inconsistencies, spaces where my mind simply refused to show me what happened. So when the scratching spelled L-A-R-S again and again, night after night, I thought, either I am going mad, or I truly did bury him, and he is somehow alive beneath my floor, clawing his way up. Both possibilities filled me with equal terror. By December, other things had begun. I woke one morning to find my sheets covered in dirt, fine, dark soil that smelled of deep earth and something else, something metallic, like copper, like blood. I stripped the sheets, burned them in the fireplace, told myself I must have tracked it in and somehow transferred it to the bed. But the next night, more dirt appeared, on my pillow this time, in my hair. And when I held the pillow to the lamplight, I saw a handprint, 5 fingers pressed into the fabric, outlined in dark soil. Each fingerprint visible, each whorl and ridge preserved, as if something had reached up from beneath and touched my pillow while I slept. I moved to the chair by the fire after that, keeping the lamp lit all night, watching the corner where Lars, if Lars was really there, lay buried. And I saw things in the periphery of my vision. Shadows where no shadows should be. Movements when I was not looking directly. Once, I swore I saw the floorboards bulge upward, as if pressure was being applied from below. And then I heard the voice, not one voice, many voices, speaking in chorus, layered over each other like a choir from hell. "You killed us," they said. "You let us drown, the water rising, the car sinking, the bridge falling. You killed us all." I recognized some of the voices, from news reports, from funerals I had attended, standing in the back, anonymous, listening to eulogies for people whose deaths I had caused. A mother describing her daughter's final phone call as water filled the car. A husband remembering his wife's last words. Children crying for parents who would never come home. All of them speaking through the thing beneath my floor. "I didn't mean to," I whispered into the darkness. "The investigation cleared me. It was an accident, a flaw in the design, yes, but within acceptable risk." "You knew," the voices said, and there was such certainty in them that I could not deny it. "You knew the calculations were marginal. You knew the contractor was using substandard materials. You knew the stress tests showed weaknesses. And you signed off anyway because the deadline was tight, because the budget was tight, because your reputation depended on finishing on time. And oh God, they were right. I had known. Deep in my heart, beneath all the rationalizations and professional justifications, I had known the bridge was not as safe as it should be. I had seen the warning signs and ignored them because acknowledging them would have meant delays, cost overruns, professional embarrassment, the possibility of being removed from the project that was supposed to make my career. I had gambled with 37 lives and lost. "We are drowning still," the voices said. "In darkness, in cold water, forever trapped in that moment when the bridge gave way and we fell. And you ran, you hid, you pretended it wasn't your fault." "I'm sorry," I sobbed. "I'm so sorry." "Sorry is not enough," they said. "Sorry does not bring us back. Sorry does not undo what was done. Sorry is just another way of running from responsibility." The scratching grew louder then, more frantic. And I heard wood splintering, nails being worked loose. I heard something, many things, clawing their way upward with renewed fury. I fled the cabin, went to the village, rented a room above Anderson's shop. But even there, 300 meters from my cabin, I heard it. Scritch, 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 beneath my bed. The guilt had followed me, or perhaps it had always been with me, and the cabin had simply given it form, made manifest what I had tried to bury. 2 officers came from Tromsø on December 18th. Lars's family had reported him missing, his car found on the road, last seen asking about me. I let them in, answered questions. No, I had not seen him. No, I could not imagine why he would be asking about me. The younger officer, sharp-eyed, missing nothing, knelt by the floorboards near my bed, placed his hand flat against them. I saw his eyes widen. He felt it, the vibration, the pressure from below. "The foundation is uneven here," he said carefully. "The cabin is very old," I replied. "Things settle." They searched thoroughly but found nothing. How could they? Whether Lars was actually there or not, whether the scratching came from a body or from guilt made manifest, there was nothing visible to find. After they left, I went to Father Larsen, told him everything, the scratching, the voices, the guilt that would not let me rest. He listened with the patience of a man who has heard such confessions before. Then, "The earth here is old," he said. "Cursed, some say, though that is not quite the right word. It has a quality, a nature, that responds to certain things. To guilt, primarily. To responsibility denied. To blood on hands that no investigation can wash clean. What does it do? It takes guilt and makes it real. Takes responsibility and gives it form. Whatever you buried, whether actual body or mental burden, it is real now. The earth has accepted it, fed on it, made it solid. The widow Johansson, I said. You knew her. What did she do? What guilt did she carry? He was silent for a long moment. Then, she was a midwife. For 40 years, she delivered babies in this village and the surrounding farms. And one night, a difficult birth, a young mother and her first child, she made a choice. Saved the mother, lost the child. The right choice, medically. But the family blamed her, said she should have tried harder, should have saved the baby. She knew they were wrong, knew she had done everything possible. But the guilt remained anyway. The question, could I have done more? And the earth made it real, he finished. For 60 years, she heard the child beneath her floor, crying, scratching to get out, to be born. She lived with it, learned to carry it, but it never stopped, not until she died. How do I stop it? I asked desperately. You cannot, he said simply. Once the earth has claimed something, it keeps it. You can only acknowledge it, face it, stop running from what you know to be true. On January 15th, the police returned with news that shattered my understanding of everything. Lars Christensen's body had been found, frozen in ice 20 kilometers north. His car had gone off the road during the storm. The same night he came to my cabin. He had died in an accident. I had not killed him. The memory was false. Guilt-induced delusion, but the scratching continued. If Lars was not beneath my floor, then what was? I understood then. The earth had taken my guilt over the 37 deaths and given it form, had manifested my responsibility, my knowledge of what I had done, my attempts to deny and bury and run from the truth. It had created something beneath my floor, something real, something that waited. I returned to the cabin, pulled up all the floorboards, took my pickaxe and began to dig, not searching for Lars anymore, searching for what guilt had created, searching for the 37 people I had killed, come to collect what I owed them. I dug for hours, down through earth that grew impossibly warm as I descended, as if something below radiated heat, as if the earth itself was alive and breathing and calling me deeper. At 2 meters, my pickaxe struck something soft. I knelt and brushed away soil, saw skin, pale, mottled, preserved by cold and something else. Some quality of this cursed earth that keeps what it collects, but not one body. Many bodies, piled together, layered, extending down further than I could see. I cleared more earth and saw a face, a woman, perhaps 30 years old. I recognized her from the news coverage of the bridge collapse. She'd been driving her daughter to school that morning. Both had drowned. Her eyes opened, clouded, filmed over with death, but aware, conscious, looking at me with recognition and something that might have been rage, or might have been just profound, eternal weariness. Her jaw worked, her mouth opened, and from deep in her throat came words. You killed us. I stumbled backward, but my foot caught on loose earth and I fell. My hands plunged into the pile of bodies, sinking into preserved flesh that was cold and soft and somehow still alive, still aware. I scrambled up and kept clearing earth, my movements frantic now, needing to see, needing to understand. And I found them, all of them, 37 bodies. 37 people who had died when my bridge collapsed. All here, beneath my cabin, preserved by the earth that collects guilt and makes it real. A man in a business suit, his face still showing the shock of the moment the bridge gave way. A teenage boy, his headphones still around his neck. An elderly woman, her purse clutched to her chest. A pregnant woman, one hand protectively over her swollen belly. All of them with eyes that opened, all of them aware, all of them looking at me. And they all spoke, their voices layering together into that terrible chorus I had heard through the floorboards. We drowned in darkness. We died in cold water. We fell because your bridge failed, because you knew it might fail and built it anyway, because deadline mattered more than safety, because budget mattered more than lives, because your career mattered more than our deaths. I'm sorry, I wept. God forgive me. I'm sorry. God does not forgive what man will not confess, they said. You were cleared by investigation, exonerated by law, but you knew the truth. You have always known the truth. And now you will face it. The body nearest me, the young woman, Lars's sister, the one whose death had driven him to confront me, reached up with impossible strength. Her hand closed on my ankle, fingers digging in with a grip that sent pain shooting up my leg. You will join us, she said, and her voice was clear now. Not the rasp of death, but the voice she'd had in life, young and vital and full of a future that would never be. You will lie here in the earth, aware and unable to die, experiencing what we experience. This is what the earth does. This is what guilt creates. This is justice. More hands reached up, dozens of hands, all 37 reaching for me, grabbing me, pulling me down into the pit with them. I tried to fight, tried to escape, but there were too many, too strong. They were fueled by 5 years of my denial, 5 years of the earth feeding on my guilt and transforming it into this, into consequence, into responsibility made flesh, into the punishment I had evaded. They pulled me into the pit among them. I felt cold earth closing over me, felt the weight of soil pressing down, felt hands holding me in place, ensuring I could not escape. The earth remembers, they said. The earth collects, and what the earth collects, it keeps, forever. And then I saw him, Lars, standing at the edge of the pit, looking down at me, not dead, not preserved, but transformed, more solid, more real than the others, because he existed in a space between memory and reality, between the man I thought I killed and the man I didn't kill. I came to make you confess, he said, to force you to acknowledge what you'd done, but you buried that too, made yourself a murderer to avoid being a killer. Better to have blood on your hands than negligence in your heart. Better a crime of passion than a crime of calculated risk. Help me, I begged. I cannot, he said. This is not my doing. This is yours. You created this. Your guilt, your denial, your responsibility. The earth simply gave it form, made manifest what you tried to bury. The hands pulled me deeper. Earth poured over my face. I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. The last thing I saw was 37 faces looking down at me, and the last thing I heard was their voices, speaking in perfect chorus. Welcome home. They found me 3 days later. Old Anderson, worried when I hadn't collected my things, came to check on the cabin. Found me collapsed in the snow outside, my ankle shattered, my hands torn and bloody from clawing at frozen ground, hypothermic, but somehow still alive. The police investigated, found the pit I had dug beneath my cabin, found my blood everywhere, on the stairs, on the floor, trailing out into the snow. But no bodies, just earth and stone and the hole I had made. The doctors say I suffered a severe psychotic break. That the guilt over the bridge collapse, combined with the isolation and the endless darkness of Mørketiden, created elaborate delusions. The false memory of killing Lars, the belief that I found bodies beneath my floor, the hallucination of being pulled into the earth. All of it my mind's attempt to process responsibility I couldn't consciously accept. They brought me here to Tromsø Hospital. Amputated my foot, too damaged to save, they said. Though I know the truth, the earth was starting to claim it, starting to pull me down even as they rescued me. They give me medications, tell me I'm improving, talk about eventual release, about follow-up therapy, about learning to live with what my mind created. But I know what I saw. I know what grabbed me. I know the 37 people I killed are real, are beneath that cabin, are waiting. Because the scratching has followed me. It started 3 nights ago. A vibration through my hospital bed. That same rhythm I learned to recognize. Scratch, 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 pause, scratch, scratch. Not random, not phantom pain from my amputated foot. Communication. Each night since, more manifestations. Dirt appearing on my sheets. Fine, dark soil that smells of deep earth and blood. A handprint on my pillow, fingerprints on the window, words scratched into the condensation. We remember. You killed us. You will join us. The nurses see it. They have to see it. But they don't talk about it. They change the sheets without comment. They clean the windows without meeting my eyes. They increase my medication and tell me to rest. And the floor is cracking. I can see it now from my bed. Fractures spreading from directly beneath me. Hairline at first, but widening. The concrete bulging upward as if enormous pressure is being applied from below. This morning, a piece of tile fell away, revealed darkness underneath. And in that darkness, something moved. I called for the nurses. They came, saw the broken tile, exchanged glances I couldn't read, and told me maintenance would look at it. But maintenance hasn't come. The crack has grown, more tiles have fallen, and I can hear them now. Not faint like in the cabin, but close, immediate, right beneath my bed. 37 voices speaking in chorus. The earth remembers, the earth collects, and what the earth collects, it keeps. I tried to tell the doctor this morning, told him about the cursed earth in Nordland, about how guilt becomes real there, about how responsibility denied transforms into something that follows you, that grows, that eventually claims what it's owed. He nodded sympathetically, adjusted my medication, told me that guilt is indeed a powerful force, but that it exists in the mind, not in the earth, that what I'm experiencing is psychological, not supernatural, that with time and treatment, I'll learn to separate reality from delusion. But he's wrong. I know he's wrong. Because this afternoon when the nurse came to check my vitals, she saw it too. The floor had broken open, a hole perhaps a foot wide, revealing darkness beneath, and in that darkness, a hand, pale, preserved, reaching up. She screamed, dropped her clipboard, ran from the room. They've moved me to a different ward now, told me there was structural damage in that room, that it wasn't safe, but I can feel it. Even here, 3 floors up and across the building, I can feel it. The vibration, the scratching, the pressure building. They followed me. Or perhaps they were never in one place. Perhaps once guilt becomes real, once the earth claims responsibility and gives it form, it exists everywhere. In Nordland beneath a cursed cabin, in Tromsø beneath a hospital bed, in Bergen beneath the bridge I built, everywhere I go, forever. Because the earth remembers, and what the earth remembers, it collects. And what the earth collects, it keeps. The floor in this new room is cracking too. I can see fractures forming, can hear scratching beneath. They're coming, all 37 of them, rising through whatever barrier separates below from above, rising to claim what they're owed, rising to pull me down into the earth where guilt lives forever, where responsibility never fades, where the dead remember and the living cannot escape. I can see hands now, many hands, pushing up through the widening cracks, pale fingers grasping, pulling, widening the gaps. The nurses won't come when I call anymore. They've sedated the other patients on this floor, moved them elsewhere, left me alone, because they know, they must know. What's happening is beyond medicine, beyond psychology, beyond anything they can treat or understand. This is the earth collecting its due. This is guilt made manifest. This is justice. The floor is opening. 37 faces looking up at me. 37 pairs of hands reaching. Join us, they say. Take your place among those you killed. Lie in the earth forever. This is what you owe. This is what must be paid. I could fight, could try to escape, could call for help that won't come. But I'm so tired. Tired of running. Tired of denying. Tired of trying to bury what refuses to stay buried. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is justice. Maybe this is what I deserve. The hands are grabbing my wheelchair now, my remaining foot, my clothes, pulling me toward the hole in the floor. I can see them clearly now. All 37, their faces, their eyes. Full of the knowledge that they died because I prioritized my career over their lives. And I can see deeper, beyond them, down into the earth that remembers, that collects, that keeps. Down into darkness where all the guilt in the world accumulates, where all the responsibility we deny takes form, where the dead wait for the living to finally acknowledge what was done. They're pulling me through. I'm going down. Down through the floor, down through the hospital's foundation, down through bedrock, down to where the earth keeps its collection. I'm going to join the 37 people I killed. I'm going to lie in the cursed earth of Nordland. Or perhaps it's not just Nordland. Perhaps it's everywhere. Perhaps the whole earth is cursed, and we just don't know it. Don't see it until guilt grows heavy enough to break through. The last thing I see is the hospital room receding above me. The last thing I hear is 37 voices speaking my truth. You knew the bridge might fail. You built it anyway. You killed us, and now you pay. Can you hear it? The scratching? It's not just beneath me, it's beneath you too. We all bury things. We all deny responsibility. We all try to run from what we've done. And the earth is patient. The earth feeds on guilt. The earth makes manifest what we deny. Listen carefully. That sound beneath your floor, that vibration you feel, it's calling your name. What have you buried? What do you deny? What guilt grows beneath you, waiting for the earth to collect? Scritch, scritch, scritch. It's coming for you next. Help.